Okay, I'm here with Samir Arora of Glam Media. He's been an investor and an entrepreneur 4 times over. So he's been on both sides of the aisle. We're going to talk about fundraising because for Glam Media, he's raised over $100 million. 140, did you say? 110 million. So you definitely have some lessons here for entrepreneurs out there fundraising. One, I guess, some lessons about fundraising, and 2, if you're in the fundraising mode now, what would be your advice to entrepreneurs?
I would start with the last question first, which is if you're in fundraising mode right now, I would really parallel to your fundraising, look at all your costs very carefully. I think the environment for even great ideas of being able to raise capital today is very difficult. I think you having seen several cycles of fundraising, you're entering a slowdown. You're not in the middle of a slowdown yet. What that does is, and I think having been on the venture side after being operational and an operating manager and CEO my whole career, it was fascinating for me to actually learn the lessons that when you are on the venture side, actually what changes is the point of view. If you're on the entrepreneur side and you have a great idea and a good company today, you are wondering why people aren't, even in a very difficult time, ready to fund you. If you switch point of views for a second and think about what a venture group is going through today, the first thing is, from a venture perspective, your mission is to provide great returns to your limited partners, your LPs, by investing in great entrepreneurs and good ideas. If you look at today from a venture perspective, many of the LPs that are in the funds are also affected by downturns. So they get very specific about what kind of ideas are you choosing for the fund. That's the first thing. The second thing is, unlike the past where most venture capitalists will do either seed, Series A, or Series A, Series B, or B or C. They're stage-based funds. And then later stage-based funds or crossover funds or going public would kick in as a source of financing. If you start at the top and realize that today the public market is closed for new IPOs, which means you're not being able to raise money from equity by going public. Then you go back to the large private equity funds, and many of them are also affected, or the hedge funds, which are very severely affected by this downturn. What that does is the late stage financings, which were very easy to do in the last few years because it was still a slow public market. So there was a lot of equity, private equity sitting in the market in the, let's say, $200 million to $2 billion valuation range, is now also very limited. What that does is, to a typical venture fund, the realization that the next stage of investment may not come from a crossover or late stage fund, or would be unlikely, means that they also have to choose and ensure that their big winners will survive a downturn. What that means is what happened in the last downturn, for example, this round robin started where you have to now start funding your own companies yourself, as opposed to relying in a later stage of a new investor coming in. That's actually very hard for a venture capitalist to do, because you end up in the situation where you have to price the round. Being who you are, which is a venture capitalist, you have to price it best possible. And that's something that puts a lot of pressure on the use of the fund itself. And therefore, the amount of investment in new companies greatly diminishes. So I think given what's going on in that market today, what I would do is absolutely minimize all expenses if you are not funded or if you don't have a strong, solid, growing business. And even if you are, I think it's very important to be extremely prudent in this market and really, don't fool yourself to build it and they will come, which is what we see a lot. Really size the business to where your business is at today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.